Hi, I'm David Lamb, and welcome to Retire with Freedom, the show that helps you plan the retirement you want. Joining me, Tad and Toni Hill, the founders of Freedom Financial, located right here in Birmingham. In today's program, we're going to discuss some of the major risks to your retirement and how to protect yourself from sneak attacks. First, though, let's welcome in Tad and Toni. Good to see you two.
Hey. Good to be here.
All right, so we're talking about sneak attacks. We're going to answer this question: is your retirement ready for such a sneak attack? And that sounds ominous and scary, but what are we really talking about here?
Well, there's a lot of things to think about when you're retiring, like volatility, risk, lost income, inflation, market corrections. There's just a lot to think through when you're talking, and we talk about all of those things on this show today.
Yeah, and sneak attacks is really a metaphor for things that we can't control, but could blow up our retirement, even though it's beyond our control. So that makes it even a more unsettling thing for people that are, because think about this. Here's the question that's on people's minds when they're looking at retiring, they're considering retiring. Here's what they're thinking. Okay, I'm gonna quit working, the paycheck's gonna go away. How's all this gonna work? Is the money gonna last? How do I make sure that I've got a plan that's gonna insulate me from running out of money? Because that's what everybody's big concern is. So there's a lot that goes into that, like you said, right? There's inflation, there's market corrections. We'll talk about that in a second. There are all kind of things, long-term care, healthcare costs, legacy planning, taxes, Social Security, pensions, paying your house off. We could go on and on and on. But when you start thinking about what retirement is, and people really start digging in and they go, okay, we're gonna quit our jobs. How do we make this work? Those are all the things that they're thinking about. So today's show is about the big ones, the ones that we can't control and really can't even anticipate very well, or in terms of how the impact is gonna unfold. And yet, if we don't have a plan for them, we're in trouble.
Right.
Go ahead.
Oftentimes, people don't know how to think about it and what questions they should be asking. I had someone that came in earlier this year, and they had one stock, a company stock they owned for quite some time. And when I first met with them, he said, well, I can't sell it now. It's up. It's doing so well. We've been doing great. It's going great. We'll talk about this when it's better. Okay. Well, then,
better meaning when it's down,
when
right?
it's down, when it's down a little bit, then we can talk. Okay, then literally 2 months later, oh, I can't sell it now. Now it's down. So it's can't sell up, can't sell down. I mean, what do you do now? You're just riding a roller coaster up and down. And when do you get off? And when do you start saying, hey, this isn't as fun as it used to be. I don't want to work anymore. I want to get off the roller coaster, and I need a path and a plan that I can see that's going to work.
Yeah, and so the big sneak attack that we're referring to now is a market correction. Right. So, everybody lived through 2008. I mean, when people came in to see us after 2008, here's what they were saying: protect my money, protect my money, protect my money, protect my money, right? And then after a few years, everybody came in and they're saying, grow my money, grow my money, grow my money, grow my money. And so we've had a lot of volatility recently, and volatility is only going to continue because if there's one thing we can count on when it comes to the stock market, is that it's going to go up and it's going to go down. And what history has shown us, recent history, meaning the last 20 years, is the volatility has increased. It hasn't gotten less, it's gotten more. And so the big thing that most people are overexposed to, and we talk about this a lot on this show, and we've given examples of how we deal with people's portfolios in terms of helping them anticipate how much downside they've got, because that's critical. But the big thing, the sneak attack that we're talking about, is you retire, or you're a few years from retirement or a few years after retirement, and you go through a 40-50% market correction. Now all of a sudden, and you're overexposed to it. Okay, you go through a correction and you're overexposed to it. Now we've got a problem.
Yeah, you're feeling that.
And so you're talking about having to work longer, having to go back to work. And so a good retirement plan, not an accumulation plan, but a retirement plan, a good retirement plan is designed to keep you from being exposed to that to the point to where something you can't control can ruin your retirement. So we've got to have growth in our portfolio, but we can't be so exposed to the stock market that a crash causes you to have to go back to work or have to keep working.
All right, good point here. Just to step aside, take a quick break. Do you know, do you really know what to do if there is a market correction like Tad and Toni are talking about? It could have a dramatic effect on your retirement. You're going to want to stay with us. When we come back, Tad and Toni talk about another culprit that may be launching a sneak attack on your retirement. But first, here's how to contact Tad and Toni to register for their next retirement planning course or to receive your complimentary retirement review.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, time with grandchildren, uninterrupted rounds at the golf course?
We sit down with people just like you every day and help you plan the retirement of your dreams.
Our experience tells us that you've got some very important questions about retirement. What happens when my paychecks stop? How do I replace my income as securely as possible? What's the best way to protect my savings and investments so that they last as long as I live? Is my family going to be okay when I'm gone? We can show you how to answer these questions for you and your family. It all starts with our complimentary review.
Tad and Toni Hill and the team at Freedom Financial Group will develop a custom plan for you that fits your needs and meets your personal goals and helps ensure that you don't outlive your income in retirement.
The best retirement plan starts with a phone call.
We've helped hundreds of families in Birmingham protect their retirement. We're here to take care of you. Give us a call.
Call 205-988-0006 today to schedule a visit in our office on Valleydale Road.
Welcome back to Retire with Freedom. I'm David Lamb here with Tad and Toni Hill, the founders of Freedom Financial Group right here in Birmingham. Now, we're talking about sneak attacks in our retirement, and you've helped us understand the impact market corrections can have. What other issues should we have a plan for?
Well, here's a really sneaky one. It's called inflation.
Yep.
And now inflation can eat away at your gains, but there are some sectors, especially for retirees, who it's really going to have a hard time with. One of the things you got to think about inflation is it erodes a third of your purchasing power every 10 years. So think about stuff like Social Security, pensions. Those aren't going as far as they did, as they start aging and as they start living on that. The other thing that really hurts retirees is healthcare costs. Healthcare costs are going up even more than inflation.
Yeah.
Those things that they got, medicines,
Well, long-term care,
all the stuff, everything, care, medications, any kind of procedures they got to do, things that Medicare is not covering and become very costly. That's really hurting them too. The other thing is when people are holding too much cash, and people that are holding too much cash are afraid of the market. Generally, that's why they're holding that much cash, and they don't understand why they've got other options, and they could be doing other things besides just holding a lot of cash and hoping that they're just getting away from the volatility.
We're talking about sneak attacks, David, and so we're talking about opposite sides of the same coin. So on one side, you've got overexposure to risk.
Okay.
And, a quick story about that. When we first started our business, one of our first clients took his 401k and his lump sum pension. So he didn't take the lifetime income on his pension. He took his 401k and his lump sum, put it all in the stock market because his broker told him it was a great idea.
Okay.
Within the first year, he lost half his money.
Oh, wow.
And him and his wife were going back to work. Now, they were in their early 60s, and so that's an example of how too much market risk exposure can hurt you. But what we're talking about here is inflation. The flip side of that is people come in and they don't have overexposure to market risk. They've got all their money or most of their money in cash because they're scared of that overexposure. Right. Yeah. And so they've got too much money in cash, and then we start, if they're going to retire, they're just going to start spending that down. It's a race to zero, basically. It's like, do I run out of life or do I run out of money first? And that's gallows humor, but it's true. Yeah. And so what people don't realize, which is what you just said, is that there are options designed to grow your cash without taking a lot of market risk, or in some cases, no market risk. Right? And there are ways to do that where you can get a portion of the upside but not get any of the downside market risk. You can use those strategies for income. And so we have to have a plan for things beyond our control. And market volatility, market crashes are beyond our control. Inflation is beyond our control. And yet, if we're going to stop working, because here's the thing, working gives you control.
Yeah, it
right?
does. Yes,
that salary, as long as you work and somebody's willing to pay you, there's your control.
There's some comfort there.
Yeah.
There's some comfort there. And the job market can be volatile, but as long as you've got a skill set and you're willing to go work, you've got some control. But retiring is is a giving up of control.
A lot of it.
So now there's things like inflation and market crashes that really have the potential to ruin your retirement if you don't navigate those waters successfully.
All right, when we come back, Tad and Toni share top concerns about your retirement, and then later we will answer some of your questions. First, though, here's how to contact Tad and Toni to register for their next retirement planning course or to receive your complimentary retirement review. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, time with grandchildren, uninterrupted rounds at the golf course?
We sit down with people just like you every day and help you plan the retirement of your dreams.
Our experience tells us that you've got some very important questions about retirement. What happens when my paychecks stop? How do I replace my income as securely as possible? What's the best way to protect my savings and investments so that they last as long as I live? Is my family going to be okay when I'm gone? We can show you how to answer these questions for you and your family. It all starts with our complimentary review.
Tad and Toni Hill and the team at Freedom Financial Group will develop a custom plan for you that fits your needs and meets your personal goals and helps ensure that you don't outlive your income in retirement.
The best retirement plan starts with a phone call.
We've helped hundreds of families in Birmingham protect their retirement. We're here to take care of you. Give us a call.
Call 205-988-0006 today to schedule a visit in our office on Valleydale Road.
Welcome back to Retire with Freedom with Tad and Toni Hill. Now it is time for the Freedom Factor. And in today's segment, Tad is going to tell you how to protect yourself, again, from those pesky sneak attacks. Here's Tad.
Thanks, David. So today we're talking about how to avoid sneak attacks. And you know, there are a lot of things that are unexpected that can happen in retirement. In fact, retirement is that period of time in your financial life where we are solving for things we've never had to solve for before, and chances are we're going to encounter things that we haven't encountered before. And so we've got to be prepared for things that could happen that are beyond our control. So let's talk about how we do that at a high level. At a high level, we've got to have a plan in place. We have to think through, how do we make sure that for you, not for anybody else, but for you and your family, we've thought through the things that are the most important to your retirement. So that starts with our Retire with Freedom process, which is really a problem-solving process. If you think about it, retirement is a multi-decade project, right? You're going to be in retirement probably for 20, 30 years. You've got finite resources. You have all the money that you're ever going to have, unless you're going to inherit some. But once you quit working, whatever you've got is what you've got. And we've got to solve for income. We've got to solve for investments. We've got to solve for taxes, healthcare, legacy planning. All of these things need to be thought through. So it's not enough to just toss some money in a bucket and some stocks and bonds and have somebody show you a chart that says, well, don't worry, the stock market goes up and to the right. Look at the last 100 years, it's been one big party. We have to actually think through all these things and make sure that we've got solutions that are both solid and that you're comfortable with. So it starts with getting a picture of your retirement. How do you want to spend your life in retirement? Do you want to spend more time with family? Is it kids, grandkids? Is it church and charity work? Is it hobbies? Is it travel? All of those things matter because, you know, we've talked about this on the show in the past, but money's not the goal here. Money is a tool. Money is just something that we use to accomplish the things that matter the most to us in life. So it's really important that we kind of hang out on this picture piece of the problem-solving process for a while and make sure you and your spouse are clear on your goals. Then we stress test what you're doing now. The stress test is going to show us, here's all the good stuff. You know, you've saved a good amount of money. Maybe you've got your house paid off or a pension, something like that. All good things. Then it illuminates the things that need to be fixed. Chances are you don't have an income plan, and I say that with confidence because I've met with thousands of people and rarely do I see somebody that actually has an income plan. What most people have, and what you probably have, is a bucket of investments that someone's told you, hey, you can just pull out what you need and everything will go okay. Well, if that feels certain enough for you, that's okay, but it's not certain enough for me. We've got to be clear about what we need and how much we're going to need and when we're going to need it. And so the stress test shows us here are the things that could go wrong. Then we go into the design phase where this is just common sense, again, problem solving. The stress test showed us there's 5 things that we need a plan for. Well, for those 5 things, what's the best way to do it? Each of them, we can do it multiple ways, right? There's no one way to do anything. We can use a variety of solutions, but what's the right solution for you? What are the pros and cons of these different solutions? So the design phase is a lot of us collaboratively going through here and deciding not only what's best for you, but what you're the most comfortable with. Then we build the plan. Plan's in place. But that's just the starting gun. You know, being able to retire is just the starting gun. Then we've got to make sure that we guide you for the next 20 or 30 years. So you've got to be asking yourself, who do you want advice from? Who do you want guidance from? You need to have somebody that you trust that knows how to think through these things and has a solid plan that you have participated in. And not only are you clear on what your plan is, but you were clear on what the alternatives were, the options were, before we put the plan in place. It's not about, oh, let me tell you about my great widget, you know, my amazing portfolio or my incredible annuity. Those are just products. This is about how do we build something that's right for you, that's going to solve for all of these needs and challenges. So let's step into one piece of the planning process right now, and that's the stress test. In the stress test, we talked about sneak attacks, right? So the first sneak attack is a market correction, or heaven forbid, a market crash. How exposed are you? Chances are you don't know. And again, I'm telling you this from experience because I've got experience with meeting with thousands of people and looking at how you're currently invested. Most people either have way too much risk or they've got way too much cash because they're scared of the risk. And so the tricky thing is, most people that have too much risk don't know it. So this is a report that we run, and it shows you in bull markets, in this case, the person had $1.2 million. In a bull market, they could be up 33%. Well, hallelujah, that's amazing. And if you look at the last decade, it's basically been a big party in the stock market. And now we're starting to really experience real volatility again. And all those memories of the financial crisis that have faded in the rearview mirror are starting to come back into people's view again. And they're going, wait a minute, maybe the stock market doesn't always go up and to the right. Maybe it goes up and down like a yo-yo sometimes. And depending on what's going on economically, maybe it can go down and stay down for a while. It took 5 years to recover in 2008. It took 25 years in the Great Depression. 25 years. Now, I'm not predicting that. I'm saying that it's possible, and if we're overexposed to it and it happens, your retirement could be devastated. So in this person's case, they had so much risk that if we went through a financial crisis type situation, not a Great Depression, just the financial crisis, 08, they could be down 49% or $590,000. That's how they were invested. Now, this is a real example of people that came to see us, and it's not an outlier. I can't tell you how common it is that people are taking this kind of risk with money that they're going to need to live on for the rest of their lives, and they might be 2, 3, 4, 5 years away from retirement. So once we get to be 10 years away from retirement, we've got to have a strategy to limit this risk. Now, another piece of the design phase is people that have too much cash. They've got too much lazy money because they're scared of the ups and downs. This is an instrument that strategically gives you gains tied to an index like the S&P 500, but you get a portion of the upside, but you don't have any downside market risk. So when the index is going up, you get a portion of the upside, and then whatever you make locks in. So that red line, that's the stock market. The green line is an indexing strategy that protects your principal from market downside but gives you a portion of the upside. Now, you don't have the full upside of the market, but you don't have any of the downside. There are some limitations with these kinds of strategies. They're not as liquid, that sort of thing, but for certain people, and if you've got too much cash, it might be a great idea to solve that problem. So those are just a couple of design ideas, but what should you do next? I strongly encourage you to take action. Pick up the phone, give us a call, or text the number on your screen. Come and sit down with us. Let us show you how we actually put your custom plan together. We'll walk through all the good stuff and the things that need to be addressed, and we'll show you how we do it. Also, come to a course. The course is a great way to get 2.5 hours, 3 hours of deep dive, common sense planning on how the actual details of some of the topics that we're talking today. Take action. Call or text now. David?
Thank you, Tad. When we come back in just a minute, we're going to answer your questions in our Q&A segment. First, though, don't miss out on this special offer from Tad and Toni.
What does your retirement look like? Is it filled with travel, time with grandchildren, uninterrupted rounds at the golf course?
We sit down with people just like you every day and help you plan the retirement of your dreams.
Our experience tells us that you've got some very important questions about retirement. What happens when my paychecks stop? How do I replace my income as securely as possible? What's the best way to protect my savings and investments so that they last as long as I live? Is my family going to be okay when I'm gone? We can show you how to answer these questions for you and your family. It all starts with our complimentary review.
Tad and Toni Hill and the team at Freedom Financial Group will develop a custom plan for you that fits your needs and meets your personal goals and helps ensure that you don't outlive your income in retirement.
The best retirement plan starts with a phone call.
We've helped hundreds of families in Birmingham protect their retirement. We're here to take care of you. Give us a call.
Call 205-988-0006 today to schedule a visit in our office on Valleydale Road.
Welcome back to Retire with Freedom. I'm David Lamb here with Tad and Toni Hill of Freedom Financial here in Birmingham. Time now to answer some of your questions. And we enjoy this section, right? We like talking to the folks.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Our first question comes from Jim in Bessemer, and Jim asks, how much communication should I be having with my financial advisor? I only talk to him if I reach out with a question, and that rarely happens.
Wow. Unfortunately, we hear that way too often,
Yep.
where folks are trying to get in touch with their advisors, they're not hearing back from them, or it takes them a week to hear back from them, and honestly, I would say to Jim, you shouldn't have to chase your advisor down. You should expect better service than that. I know with us and how we run our organization and the way we treat our clients and service our clients is we're proactive with that. We're oftentimes reaching out, educating, and really having a lot of communication, not just me and Tad, but our entire team. Yeah. With our clients so that they don't have to even probably call us with a question or anything. I mean, their questions and solutions are already there, and we're discussing those. And here's the other part of that. We have an entire team, so I think that's another thing. Maybe Jim's advisor's overwhelmed and overworked and just doesn't have enough capacity. Maybe he's a great guy and he just is busy, but we build a team out particularly for that circumstance.
So this is something, we talk about this a lot actually because we did this strategically. You know, if you're working with a big brokerage firm, there's a very good chance that maybe you've got an advisor and there's an admin that supports 10 of those advisors. Maybe that advisor's got a junior advisor or something like that, but basically they're servicing all of their clients. So they're having to do everything, right? And that happens a lot. And one of the things that we've done intentionally is build an entire team around us that understands how we do planning, and they understand, so they can pull up what we've done for a client, our client service people, our other advisors at our company. Well, and us too. Yep. You can work with a client that I've never met. I can take all of the work that you've done, and in 10 minutes, I'll know exactly what's going on.
Right.
And the same thing can happen, same with them and me.
And everybody.
And so what happens is our clients learn to rely on not just me, not just Toni, but our entire team.
Freedom Financial.
And so, like with all the volatility that's going on, right? A lot of what people are getting told is, oh, don't worry, that you don't need to make any changes, just hang in there, right? Well, when things are going crazy, changes need to be made. So we were doing videos, educational videos out to our clients saying, okay, here's what we're doing, here are the moves we're making, and expect to hear from us. And then we had our entire team calling all of our clients and saying, hey, did you get the videos? Did you see what's going on and what we're doing?
And
yeah, we did.
Or
no, I didn't see it. Well, okay, well, let me send it to you because you've got to watch this. And we did a series of videos about the volatility and what was going on in the markets and the maneuvers we were making to address those things. So again, that's, you know, it's proactive, like you're saying.
And one more thing I want to say about having a team and why it's good for people is because a lot of times your advisor may retire or leave that organization or whatever, and you have to, people say, well, I started all over again with this new person, and I felt like they didn't know anything about me. People everybody in our organization knows about everything about all of our clients. They can be well taken care of just like
Toni and I could get hit by a bus, and we've got a whole team of people that know our clients intimately and understand their plan.
Right. Absolutely.
Being in the dark about your own retirement, your own money, that's not a good plan, I think, is the answer for Jim. This is from Gary. Gary emails us from Homewood. He asks, I'm 62 years old. My wife wants me to retire and start collecting Social Security, but I am not ready to retire and honestly don't think we have enough money saved up. What is your recommendation and how should we go about this?
Well, all right, so let's back up and think about this philosophically for a second,
Okay.
all right? So when people sit down and I say, when do you want to retire? They say, tomorrow. And I say, really? Yes, tomorrow. I'm like, okay, there's two pieces to this. One is, can you retire? And the other is, are you ready to retire? And I'm not talking about financially, I mean mentally, emotionally,
right.
Are you actually ready to do it? And so what I would say to Jim and his wife is that they need to work together to determine what their common goals are.
Right.
But it's really common, Toni, that people are able to retire and then they decide they don't want to for some reason. Maybe they like their work or they don't really have hobbies outside of the
Or
office.
maybe they just feel good that they could if they wanted to, but they don't necessarily have to,
Well,
and they feel
we've
free
talked
again.
about that on other shows where they feel like they're miserable, but then they realize, okay, I can
leave anytime.
jump anytime I want
Yeah.
because I have a plan that's going to
There's some
work, and now all of a
freedom in
sudden they're more patient with their job. So there's, and the answer is, you have to go through a solid planning process to actually get the answer to that. So here's not a good answer to this question.
Okay.
You got $1 million, you're fine. All you need to do is let me manage it. I'll average 8 to 10%. You can pull out 6 or 7 and everything's going to be honky-dory and you're going to end up leaving $4 billion to your kids.
Right.
That is not a retirement plan.
Right.
A
No.
retirement plan is the process that we talk about all the time on this show.
Right.
We got to get a picture and then stress test and then design it and then build it and then guide you moving forward.
And then you need to clearly understand it and see it so that you've got the comfort level and you're not calling in and saying, hey, is this going to work and can I retire? You need to know it's doable, not just hope it's
when we're
doable.
finished doing a plan, people can see exactly how this is going to lay out. And that certainty gives them a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Really good stuff, and I think you're going to help a lot of people with those answers to the questions. Now, if you have a question, you can visit AskFreedomFinancial.com, and we just might use one of your questions on a future show. Now, what you've heard today is just information. Unless you take action, do yourself a favor and act on the information that you've heard today. Call or text to register for Tad and Toni's next retirement course or to schedule your complimentary retirement review. Don't wait until the next market correction. Protect your retirement for the sake of yourself and your family. Call now. For Tad and Toni Hill and the entire team of Freedom Financial, I'm David Lamb. Have a great day and an even better retirement.